her girlfriend's house for a sleepover, and her boys' friends are over there. Mom and Dad doesn't know about it. And so she's afraid, so she can go to Walmart the next morning without anybody knowing about it and take a pill. And no one has a right to know. No one has a right to restrict it. No one has a right to say no to her. Now, she cannot go to school and get an aspirin without parental consent. But she can take a pill that is so dangerous, a pill that is so deadly that it kills a human being that's of embryonic size or whatever, egg size. That's bad. There's something not right in Barack Obama's thinking, in the people who promoted this. I'll say this, there's something not right with Walmart and Walgreens and all these other drugstores, pharmaceutical stores that sell this stuff. There's something not right with you people. Something's wrong if you're more concerned about making the sale to a 14 or 13-year-old girl by giving her a pill that is so unrestricted that she can take it and no one can tell her no. The pharmacist can't say, you know what, you're too young. You need to go home, talk to your mom. You can't tell her that. You have to sell it to her. Something wrong with everybody. And I'm asking the question, is this nation going to be around in 10 years? Is the United States of America going to be around in the next 10 years? Let's see here. Rick Warren. I mentioned Rick Warren a while ago. Is he helping or hurting? Pastor Rick Warren says Allah and God are one and the same. Saddleback Church in Lake Forest, California is the 8th largest church in the United States. Don't you feel bad for him? I mean, don't you feel bad he's not number one? Average attendance of 20,000 people or more. Rick Warren is the founder and senior pastor of this mega church. He also known for his popular book and program of church growth known as the Purpose-Driven Church. He has built his temple of thousands on a platform of liberal theology. I'm glad this guy, who is this guy anyway? Godfather Politics? Never read this before. Anyway, his preaching is more emotionally based than spiritually based, which is how, according to Rick Warren, you build a big church. The bottom line of his philosophy is that it is more important to build a big church than teach sound biblical theology. In his typical liberal fashion, Pastor Rick Warren has joined a movement known as King's Way. The movement's goal, you might want to Google this and check out the information for yourself. King's Way. The movement's goal is to bring Christians and Muslims together with either group trying to proselytize without either group trying to proselytize or convert the other. Bring them together. As part of this effort, Warren announced that he wants to create a set of principles that both evangelical Christians and Muslims could agree to in the effort to bring churches and mosques closer together. One of those principles is that we both worship the same God. In other words, God and Allah are one and the same deity. Sorry, Pastor Rick Warren, but you couldn't be more wrong. If you really believe this, it demonstrates just how far from the Bible you have strayed. Yes, I know that Muslims trace their history back to Ishmael, the son of Abraham and Jews, and Christians trace their history back to Isaac, also the son of Abraham. Warren used this common history as the basis, making a statement on God and Allah being one and the same. However, the Muslim view of Allah is not the same as the Christian view of God. Here are some major differences, and he goes on to talk about that. And so he asks the question, so who exactly does Rick Warren worship? Does he worship God and Jesus Christ, or does he worship Allah, who denies the deity of Christ? Well, that became apparent when Rick Warren, who decided that he wanted the favor of Barack Hussein and his government rather than the favor of God, showing up and praying a blessing over the inauguration of Barack Hussein and praying it in the name of Isa, which is the Muslim version of Jesus. Knowing full, and he wasn't just using Jesus in other languages. He was specifically bringing in to the Muslims listening to him the theology and the doctrine behind the name Isa. Now, I understand that not everybody in the world speaks English. I understand that. I understand that not everybody, I understand that Jesus is pronounced different ways in different parts of the world. That's not what Rick Warren was doing. What he was doing was calling into memory those of a Muslim faith, saying to them, I'm one of ya. Because when they heard the name Isa, to them, it was a Jewish prophet who will come back with the Imam Mahdi of the last days, the 12th Imam, who will come back and tell everybody, you should have been Muslims all along. That's what I was trying to tell everybody. And Matthew and Mark and Luke and John got it all messed up. And Paul. Shaky ground. Let's go back to the days of World War II. In those days, sure, in this country there were Muslims. There were people of ethnic origin from Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, you name it, they were here. They enjoyed the freedom that you and I had. But we have a different spirit now than we had back then. Back then, Christianity was the religion of America. It was in the hearts of the Americans. It was what America was. Not anymore. Now we're so turbulent. Now we have Islamic law, Sharia law, wanting to take over and destroy the very foundation of this country. Number one, the Scriptures. Number two, the Constitution. And then we have guys like Rick Warren patting these people on the back for doing it. And when you have that kind of superpower, when you have elements of the government that are against a vast majority of what is the heart of the American people, then you add to that the religious people of America, the religious leaders of America, like Rick Warren and Billy Graham and Joel Osteen and countless others who are siding with the people who have decided that there's no other course for America but to destroy her and turn her into an Islamic state. Their vision is that one of these days the crescent moon flag will be flying over every state park in this country. That's their goal. And you have religious leaders all over this country applauding them, bowing to them, kissing up to them, and patting them on the back and saying, we're with you, 100%, because we worship the same God. Well, they do. It's not the God of the Bible, though. How long are we going to last, people? I'm not trying to scare you. Here's another article. I don't even know if I can read this one. I mean, it's not bad. I don't know if I can read it. Pastor of California church sponsoring interfaith dialogue with Wiccans teaches tolerance to concerned citizen. Wiccans are covered by God's grace. Now, let me deal with that one. Galatians. I mean, I covered this so many times, I think, in the past. But it's the Bible stands. O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you? And what was Paul talking about? He was talking about that it was the witchcraft that was brought in, Jewish witchcraft, Kabbalah, that was brought into these churches under the guise of keeping the law. Are you listening to me? And he called it witchcraft, and it's the opposite of grace. And if it's the opposite of grace, it's not grace. It's law-keeping. This pastor in California had this little seminar, wants everybody to know that he believes that Wiccans, you can be a pagan, you can be an adulterer and a fornicator, which in a lot of rituals, that's what goes on. You can do all those things. You can chant, you can do specifically what God said don't do as far as religious practices is concerned. And you can still go to heaven. Pastor of Fairview Community Church has taken a leaf out of Pope Francis' book concerning grace. If God's grace covers everyone, including atheists and non-Christians, it covers Wiccans too. Wicca is a federally recognized religion in America. Its members either practice in groups or solitary. It is a nature-centered religion that recognizes deity as both male and female, God and goddess. Hey, where do we know about that one? And from there, Wiccans and pagans follow their own chosen pantheons and blah, blah, blah. But this pastor's now telling everybody they are under the same grace that God gives to everybody else. So sure, all the roads lead to the exact same God. It's just not the God of the Bible. Now, is America, and I have a list here also. Let me look at this list for a minute here. Vigilant citizen. He has a Bilderberg's attendee list. Let me see here. Let me look under the H's. Hang on a second. There's Fisherman, Flint, Gallagher, Geithner, Timothy Geithner. Let's see, Donald Graham. No, it's not Billy, is it? No. Let's see here. Let's see, Halberstadt from the Netherlands. Ooh. Simon Henry from Great Britain. Paul Hermelin from France. Let's see here. No Hoggards. No Hoggards at the Bilderberg meeting. Let's see who we can find here. We found Timothy Geithner. And I'm liable to set my glasses over here and then throw them somewhere or them fall on the ground. Tim Geithner was there. Let's see who else here. Let's start at the... Hey, let's go to look at the USA here. Roger Altman. I don't know who that is. Let's see here. Jeff Bezos. Oh, yeah, Amazon.com at the Bilderberg meeting. Thought I recognized that name. Who else here from the good old USA is going to sell out our national sovereignty at a top-secret meeting that no one can know anything about? Michael Evans, chairman of Goldman Sachs. Boy, doesn't that sound about right. Let's see here. Mark Fishman, president of Novartis Institutes of Biomedical Research. Wonder why he's there. Wonder what they're planning. Tim Geithner. Let's see here. Who's the Washington Post? Donald Graham. USA. Kenneth Jacobs, chairman and CEO of Lazard. James Johnson, chairman Johnson Capital Partners. Vernon Jordan. Hey, that name rings a bell. Managing director. He used to be in politics. Robert Kaplan. Let's see here. Alex Karp. I don't see Alex Jones on here either. He wasn't invited. But the list goes on of all the people that all the United States of Americans that are at the Bilderberg meeting. Political leaders. There was some photographs released. It looked like Hillary was there, and they were there was a whole list of photographs, and some of them they didn't know who the people were, but it looked like Hillary had showed up. I don't know that for sure. It looks like she had showed up at the Bilderberg meeting. What's the big deal about the Bilderberg meeting in America? Bilderberg is all about secrecy. It's all about power. It's all about control. It's all about conglomeration. Getting all the nations together, moving in the same direction, working together hand in hand, and so on and so on. And it's not really about world peace. It's not really about how we can make the world a better place. It's about how these people can consolidate their power in such a way as that they are the ones who have control over everything. And it has I want to say it has nothing to do with you. Of course it has everything to do with you because it's going to affect you. But do you think that they care about you? Do you think that they are going there and somebody from the United States saying, you know, one of these bankers is going, you know, I got guys that come to my bank and they're having some trouble on their farms. Is there anything we can do for them? They'll laugh and cut up and throw this guy out. They're not in it for the people.